How many people you think were there that day waiting for their loved ones?
Not that many. Actually, not that many. The gal that her husband was a minister, and I think one other gal, Shirley, I can't remember Shirley's last name, she was waiting. And there was a lot of the training center, the Olympic Training Center people were on that plane. But they weren't there. They did end up coming. Or they could have been there and I didn't. You know, I really don't know. All I know was I was there, the minister's wife was there, and and the radio guy. And that's probably all I remember.
So give us a time frame. They were supposed to land at what, 10 o'clock in the morning, 9:45?
No, they were supposed break. They were supposed to be there like 9:35, 9:40. And I was sitting there. And when I asked at the first time when everything was open, they said, oh, they're just a little late. And then when I went back down at like about 10 till 10, everything was shut. And that's when I went to the phones and thought, I'm going to call the phone. I'm going to call United and find out.
And then what time does your husband show up?
He showed up, well, my sister and her husband showed up first. And then my husband showed up, and I was in the room. They finally cornered me in the room. I ended up in the room. And because my sister just couldn't believe, that it had happened. And I said, I know Mother well enough, Laurel. We'd been there in the room for 2 hours, and I'd waited outside for 2 hours. So probably 4 hours had gone by, and I said, Laurel, if Mother was alive, I know she would have made sure she would have contacted us in some way, if she was conscious. And I said, this is not good. And my sister kept saying, no, I know she's okay. I just know she's okay. And I kind of knew the opposite because I just knew my mom so well.
So now you're 4 hours at the airport. Have you gotten any confirmation from United at this point?
No. They said they would supply phones for us to call loved ones, and they did. And the one thing you do in a real tragedy like that is you want to call everybody you know because you want them to say, oh, no, that didn't happen. No, that's not right. You're wrong. That didn't happen. You find yourself calling just anybody and everybody to try to tell you that, no, that didn't happen. And so I was there for 4 hours before he came. And then by that time, all of the families were there except for one young gal. Her husband was the Cheyenne Mountain hockey coach. And he wasn't supposed to be on that plane. He was supposed to be on a later flight, and he caught that flight. And so she worked in Pueblo as a nurse, and so she wasn't there. But she said she had a gut feeling that he was on that plane for some reason, because she couldn't get a hold of him either. But she didn't know if he was, in an airport somewhere. He was, recruiting a new job, I think. But we were there. I was there probably 5 hours, and my sister was there probably 2 hours. And all of a sudden, I know that everybody always thinks when a catastrophe like this happens, everybody's screaming, oh my God, wailing. And I would have done that if I had a child. But these were all young women with husbands on this plane. And all the children, I remember looking around and thinking, all these children have lost their father. And in walks this man from Chicago. And he walks into the podium and he said, he goes, excuse me, I am here to inform you that Flight 585 has crashed. There's no survivors. Are there any questions? You could have heard a pin drop. I mean, I wish I would have said, why? Why did it crash? But at that point, I was like, everybody was just dumbfounded. We were all just stoic. And pretty much that way, then they wanted us to go over, at that point, it was at the Red Lion. And I didn't want to go there either. But my sister said, we've got to go. And we did. And we were separated in families. And again, I saw all the women with their children, and how sad. It was devastating. You know, I thought, you know, for these women. It was horrible for me, but I couldn't imagine what they were going through.